Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at what's new in the new version of Aproove. So the major new feature is our Adobe InDesign Extension. This feature is of massive interest to many of our customers, especially those ones who deal with production facilities. Many of our customers have internal production. Some of our customers have external production, but it's relevant for both of those use cases. The extension is obviously very perfect for those who want to work inside the Adobe applications. And one of the great benefits of this extension is that the users will never need to leave the application. They'll be able to see all of the annotations and notes within the Adobe application, which means they don't have to have printouts of those annotations, or they don't need to have a second screen where they're looking at those annotations and making the corrections. So it's got some very big benefits that we'll go through in a moment. One of the other major new features is the ability to create advanced and expert level search filters inside Aproove. Not only can you create them, you can also then share them with the rest of the user base. Now, this feature is extremely powerful because it gives businesses the opportunity to create search filters that are very bespoke to your own internal business requirements. These search filters can also be used in conjunction with your own custom metadata, so it makes it even more powerful and relevant to your own business. We also have a couple of other new features that we'll cover in the review interface and the project dashboard. We'll cover those in the webinar. I did want to point out just 2 or 3 new features that we won't cover today, but are still quite important. The major one there really is the ability to be able to kick off a project with a form. That's included in this new release. We also have a new action that can be triggered when something is marked as resolved inside Aproove. We also have added the ability to add a custom message when using the export PDF action. And we also have the ability to show annotation snapshots of video notes that have been made inside of a report. So quite a lot in this new version, but we're going to focus mainly on the big things that I mentioned at the top of that slide. Okay, so let's kick things off with the highlights of the Adobe InDesign extension. So any business that's dealing with Adobe InDesign files, either in-house or via a third-party supplier, will immediately see the benefits of this new extension. The new InDesign extension allows production users to interact with Aproove without ever having to leave their native Adobe InDesign application. In this first release, we have a whole lot of features that we'll go through. You have the ability to sync your InDesign file to Aproove projects and ultimately the proofs at the back of that. You're able to see all of the annotations directly in your InDesign page and all of the notes inside the extension. If someone is actually inside the proof and doing markup and annotations live on the proof, and you so happen to have that InDesign document open at the same time, you will also see those annotations appearing inside InDesign in real time. So we have an immediate push mechanism to see those immediately, which is pretty cool. Inside the InDesign extension, you also have the ability to comment on notes, and you can even mention people from within the plugin. One other nice feature is that we've included the ability to add tags to any of the notes. So, for example, you might want to add a tag when you work on your corrections. You may want to add a tag to each note that says "correction done," for example, just as a quick example there. You can view the Aproove homepage and all of the projects from within the InDesign plugin, and you can even navigate the file system. And last but not least, we have a really cool feature that allows you to even use regular expressions to set up a naming convention that suits your own business. This allows the Aproove extension to automatically detect and find the proof that matches your InDesign file using those regular expressions. Zav's going to cover all of those things off now. So Zav, I'll pass over to you and you can take it from there.
Thanks, Gary. So let me just pick up the screen. Yeah, so first of all, just introducing the plugin, I will explain quickly how to install the plugin for those who wants to install this. So you recognize the main dashboard of Aproove, and to get access to the plugin, you just go the hamburger menu here, and you get the Adobe extension menu showing up here. From there, you get access to the download area for installing the plugin. So pretty easy. You click on the one you want to install, and that's it. From there, just wanted to also to show you that there is a full detailed page of help page on the Adobe extension currently available on the website, which is linked to the extension itself. So when you want any help, you can get there for installing use case example, how to navigate through it, how to link documents to proofs and things like this. So everything is thoroughly explained here with the many videos and information, very useful information. So never, don't forget this one. So now let's go quickly through the app itself. So here, what I did prepare for this demo is three InDesign documents, A, B, C here that you can see here. And those three documents have been used to produce proofs in an approved project. So these three documents have 4 pages each. So it means that this is 12 proofs in total in a project in Approve. So for using for the purpose of the demo today is to show you how to bound those files to the single project it is linked to, and to display the notes, actually the notes, and doing some operation, all the operation that an operator will expect to do with the extension. So from there, just clicking opening this document, you see that the Approve extension has been set on. So to install that extension, I showed you the auto install software, but you will have also to go in the window menu of InDesign in extension and tick the extension on, just for having that palette showing up. From there, you can use your credential, your usual credential, and connect to your preferred server. And once it's done, you will be guided through the process of syncing the document if it is not synced yet. So it means that this current InDesign document has never been connected to Approve before. So this is why I'm seeing this message, which is telling me, hey, this document is not bound to anything. So you need to do an operation at least to give the link between the two. Uh, so let's go through. And what the extension is showing now is the identical menus as the one you have in your dashboard, which are the home and project menu, where you can go inside the tree structure of the project you have, or simply your home screen, like in the dashboard. So from there, you have to choose a project to at least indicate where the proofs are meant to be in Approve. And in this case, I just choose the right project. And here now, what the extension is doing is trying to find a match between the InDesign document currently open and the proofs which are sitting within this approved project, because the relationship between proofs and InDesign files is that one approved project can host many InDesign files at the back. So here, uh, because of naming convention, the default naming convention is very simple. The name of the InDesign file produce a similar name for the PDF. So a.indd will create a.pdf. And so actually, the extension has detected those file names in the project I selected here, and tell me that he found the extension found something. And so I will sync, agree with this. And by doing so, automatically, as you notice it has synced the proof number one of the project to the page number one of my InDesign document, which is a.pdf as expected, because it's a in the INDD here. Automatically, the annotation made in Approve are showing up on the InDesign document, as you can see them, and you can go through each of the nodes, and while clicking on each of the nodes, the extension will simply locate the node on the page, zoom, and show it to you this way. And you can go through each of the nodes this way. Just think that these nodes have been made in Approve, and in a second I will just do a mention someone here, and that will show the interactivity, the possible interactivity between InDesign and Approve here. in the extension. Like Gary said also as an introduction, the tags on the nodes could be applied from the plugin if you have the proper privilege, of course, because if you don't have the right to put tags in Aproove, you don't have the more rights here in the plugin. The extension is completely ignoring the Aproove rights. Okay, so from there, if I'm a designer and I did take this change into consideration and did the change, I could for example, tag the node to say I've made the change. And by tagging this way, I had a tag on this node telling that as a designer, I did my job on this node. And this tag will be visible in Aproove interface. And using workflow automation, you can trigger things behind the scene with this. There's many things you can do with this, as it is a standard tag. If I'm going on a nodes like this one, this is a text node. You see, it shows up also as a highlighted text like it is in Aproove. So from this point, now that I have seen this first document, we can go through some cooperation, for example, and maybe let's go back to this first node, and I will mention my colleague Sylvain, which is attending this. So here at Sylvain, and you see by typing at something, it shows me all my contact as mentioning here, and just mentioning Sylvain. Can you check this? And Sylvain would be notified as usual in Aproove with telling him that he's been mentioned here. He will have access to this specific note, this specific conversation. I don't need to stay here. I can leave. I can do whatever I have to do. When Sylvain would come back to me, I'd be notified here. And at this point, okay, Sylvain responded to me. You see, real time. Okay, thanks, Sylvain. And from there, I can decide to resolve the node like I usually do in Aproove, like this. Node is resolved. By resolving the node, it means that Sylvain cannot go back again into this node. He's out now. He can't comment it anymore. It is an usual Aproove behavior, but as you see, it's all occurring within InDesign. Now, if I have other proofs, of course, in this document, if I scroll down to other pages, you see that I have other pages, and automatically, depending on the page I'm zooming in, the extension detect the page I'm in and simply display the nodes on the other pages. And you see this node is repeated on every page because it was a global node put on many proofs at the same time. And automatically the binding between proofs and pages are made automatically, which is quite nice and powerful. Okay, so from there, we did some chat. If I'm opening, for example, the same project or someone is opening the same project on the other side, meaning in Aproove. So I'm currently on page 4, and at the same time, exact same time, someone is putting a note on the page, like I'm doing here in background. Automatically, this node will show up in real time in InDesign, as you see here. If another node is put here this way, automatically you see nodes are appearing real time. So it shows that this is really connected to the Aproove system in real time. So allowing a very tight interaction between people. Again, this is kind of the standard feature we already have in the review interface, but we wanted the experience to be exactly the same within InDesign, not losing anything. So all the interactivity, all these things are honored, 100% honored. So if I'm going bit above on my first page, just showing you another one. If there is a tag which is linked to a form at the back of a node, this is 100% honored as well within InDesign. You see this tag as a form attached to it, and we can access the form from within InDesign as well. So this is a palette screen. You can put wherever you want, and it will stay where you put it. It will store that information, and there you can grab some information that have been added by your reviewer through forms, for example. Okay, so now the next use case, because like I said, this project here does have 12 proofs. you notice it. It's written here. It's tiny, pretty tiny, but you can read it, I guess. And now, as a designer, I have probably another bunch of files that are linked to this project. And currently, if I go back home here, I see that I have a b.indd file. And when I click this page, this file has not been synced yet, but because I'm currently working on this project, the extension recognized that this file is also matching this project and just tell me you want to add it to this project as well. And by saying yes, automatically the binding will be done. And as you see, proof number five has been found to match page number 1 of this InDesign document automatically. And that's the same. I can add the same way a third file, which is a C file here, for example, again. And you see all these files now are all bound to the same approved project. Is proof number 9. Right now, because of naming convention, the binding of the pages has been made automatically due to file naming convention. You may have different file naming convention, of course, and we'll go through a quick description of what can be done here to customize the naming convention part of for the binding of proofs and pages within InDesign. From there, you can switch back to any of the project you see instantaneously. The extension is reverting you exactly where you left it. So if you open notes, open tray and stuff, it will be exactly in the same shape instantaneously. If you save this document now, you will not have to go through the process of syncing anything because these information now are part of the metadata information stored within the InDesign document. It means that next time I will reopen this file, it will automatically get back to the plugin in the exact same location, exact same project for me. So I don't need to do that every time. That's only the first time I need to sync things on. Now, you see, I have those 3 InDesign document linked to this project. What if I want to work on another document which is not linked to this project, but simply just go home. Here I have another sample. I have a document here which is not linked to this project, and automatically it switches to the right project because it has already the information stored into it, bound to another project. So from there, you can, that's exactly the same experience. You can go through all the nodes. You have the navigation thing. That's you see this project is a bit richer with more exchange with tags and so on, with at mention and so on. So this is the kind of activity you can do pretty easily here. Please note that the commenting capabilities, the fact that you can add tags and so on, is 100% user rights based. It means that it's not for everyone, it's for people that have the privileges to do so. Otherwise, you will not have access to this. If you can't do it in Aproove, you can't do it in InDesign, if it makes sense. So now the next part, I think you understood that the binding of the proofs in this project has been made automatically because the naming convention was honored correctly. But what if the naming convention is not honored? What can you do? In this case, the extension will not try to bind the proof for you, but rather will propose you to see all the proofs within the project. And the extension will expect you to click the proof it is matching to. So this page is the first page of my third document. So obviously it should be the 9th proof. So this proof, and by clicking this proof, automatically it does the binding between proof 9 and page 1. I can really go anywhere. If I was going to this one, it will bind 11 to page 1, which is not making sense in this case, but just to show you that we have a total control of changing the proof assignment to the pages manually. On top of that, let's imagine you made a mistake. This is not the right project. I don't want to bind this page to this project. It's really up to you to simply close the project and choose another project from the list here by searching it, or simply going in the home, which is the last 15 projects, or going in the project library to kind of find the project you want to bind it to. And from there, you do whatever you want. You select whatever project you want, and you can bind this project to the proof if you want. Should make sense, of course. we expect the user to do not the user, the designer to do the less as possible manipulation to get right to the right project. Again, if he made a mistake going back here, he can always revert back to what the extension found initially with this revert button. And it just goes back to the initial information I made. So, yeah, let's go now to the naming convention part. I think that would be probably the one for the geek. It's not for everyone, but it will show you kind of the power the system has to really cater for very specific use cases in the name of the file. When you name your InDesign file in a very complex way, already find Aproove, scene Aproove. So for doing so, just getting out here, going in the tiny menu here in the preferences. And from this preference menu, you see you have a proof matching menu for tweaking things. So it's not the training here. I will not go through the full regular expression explanation and so on, but just for you to understand how it works, you have a regular expression, which is kind of a filter for splitting the InDesign file name you have into groups, into groups and subgroups, and another regular expression to tell the system how the PDF file are made out of these parts that you split it here. And you have on top a way to test it. So in this case, this is a default setting. It takes everything before the .indd and use this, what it found, just before PDF. So that #1 means simply group number 1. So for example, if I have a file called test.indd and I want to check it, it would say simply that group number 1 contain test. So group number 1 is everything before the .indd. And so test.indd will be matched to test.pdf in this case. If you go for more complex regular expression, for example, you have two parts like this with two groups, and you want simply to have group number 2 to be used for the PDF name and the group number 1 being ignored by doing this, for example, like this, two part of the name and doing a check, it will say that group number 1 is test, group number 2 is B, and the file name will be matched to b.pdf. So, okay, don't want to go too deep here, just to let you know that you have here all the capability you need to make this process as automated as possible to not make any mistake in binding proofs to InDesign document. I think that's it. If you have any question, please raise your question in the QA window, and we'll try to cover them. Gary, I'll pass it back to you if you want to take it over.
Thanks, Ev. Perfect. I will just share my screen again. Give me just a second here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen again. Okay, so I think you'll agree that for a first release of the Adobe InDesign extension, it's pretty comprehensive. It's got some really fantastic features in there that I'm sure most of our customer base will definitely be able to utilize. I did preempt some questions that may come up during this webinar, so I wanted to answer some of those in this slide here before we move on to the next topic. So what's next with the Adobe InDesign extension? Well, in the next release, we will be adding the individual and team to-do lists as a tab inside the Adobe extension. Now, that is a massive enhancement, as it means that your production staff can see tasks as they get assigned to them directly inside the extension without needing to leave InDesign. What's more, because it's a task that they've received, once they've done their work, we will also probably have the capability there to re-upload a new version of the PDF and also make a decision on the actual task itself, like corrections made, which then moves the workflow to the next step, for example. So it really is quite a powerful enhancement that will be coming in the second revision. But I'm sure you'll agree the first revision contains quite a lot of stuff already. So the idea behind that really is to just enforce Aproove's vision, which is quite unique in the work management world, that we truly believe that when you have a work management tool or a project management tool, it's all well and good getting tasked to do something, but what if we can make that task part of the worker's daily journey with the applications they currently use? So, for example, when you send that task, it arrives inside InDesign, they open up that task, they do their job. That might also be linked to a timesheet at the back, and they never leave that application. Rather than a project management system that says, hey, I need you to do this task. So the person receives that task, they then go to a third-party application to do that task. They then have to go back to the project management system to say that they've done that task. That process is completely decoupled. So what we're trying to achieve at Aproove is a lot more. We want to be ingrained with the actual daily processes that people carry out in your organization. So on top of that, what we also plan to do is introduce the Asset Browser tab into the version 2. And this will allow users to not only view files, but it will also allow them to drag and drop those files directly into the InDesign page when they're doing the layout of the pages, which is going to be a huge enhancement as well. We did actually get asked this question during the demonstration Zav was carrying out, so I can answer this one now. We do plan to add the Photoshop and Illustrator plugins in Q2. The reason that we're waiting a little bit to Q2 is because we want to receive the feedback on the InDesign plugin. The InDesign extension is actually way more complex to build because you have to do that link between the PDFs. So we know that once we've got the InDesign extension in a very good place with all of the functionality that everyone expects, then that will be the perfect time to port that across to Photoshop and Illustrator. Because both of those applications, Photoshop and Illustrator, you tend to work on the actual native file itself. So you'll be opening up images directly, for example. You won't be linking them to a PDF. So hopefully that all makes sense. But in Q2, you should be able to see those plugins come online as well for Photoshop and Illustrator.
Gary, can I add something on top of this?
Sure,
This is,
go ahead.
just for those who has this question, just so you know, the current extension for InDesign is already on a technology standpoint 100% compatible with Photoshop and Illustrator. It's just about having the support, the complete support, like we did for InDesign. So it's not that we have to redevelop everything for these applications. Absolutely not. It's much more like Gary said, taking the experience and the feedback we got from InDesign, which is the highest complexity one, and strip out a bit of the experience of InDesign and go back directly to Photoshop and Illustrator in a very straightforward path. So just want you to understand, it's not kind of a fallback position or whatever. The technology is exactly the same. The code will be exactly the same, and installing those extensions will not be a big deal. That would be really something that would be straightforward and quick. Sorry, Gary, just wanted to specify that.
No, all makes sense. Okay, so just about the availability of the extension, this is hopefully very good news for everyone in the call. We're not going to be charging for that extension. What we're going to do is make that available to all of the classic and enterprise customers. The extension is free, but it allows you to log in, like when you have a user account in Aproove, you can either log in via the extension or you can log in via the web browser, but you can't log into both simultaneously for obvious reasons. So hopefully that's good news for everyone. It means that you get this great new functionality already included in the cost of what you're already paying for Aproove. One last thing on this, if you do need more accounts, perhaps seeing the InDesign extension means that you can expand your Aproove usage and you want to ingrain it a little bit more into your production teams. If you do need more accounts, what we've done as well is we've made that very, very fair. You don't have to buy the top end user accounts in Aproove. So enterprise customers can simply purchase dashboard user accounts, and that will give you access to the Adobe InDesign extension. And the classic customers can just buy extra standard users, and that will also get you access to the InDesign extension and also the ability to log in via the web browser as well. So hopefully that seems fair to everyone, and hopefully you'll all be up and running and using that plugin pretty soon. Okay, so I think we can move on to the next topic now. So the next topic is the advanced search filters. The advanced search filters is an extremely powerful tool that enables businesses to create very custom searches that are unique to your own business needs and requirements. Now, many systems will give you filters and search capability, but having that being able to be customized for your own business is very unique and very powerful. Now, it should be said that this advanced tool that Zav's going to show you in a moment is a great tool, but obviously you're not probably going to want to expose this tool to the majority of your user base. So you can simply hide this feature from most of your users and maybe only expose it for the users that have the required skills and knowledge to be able to use it. But the search filters that they create can be shared across all of the users and groups that you want to be able to have access to them. And that's great because it means that those users can execute those pre-built searches by clicking on a simple filter, and it hides all of the complexity behind that search. So you just name your filter with something that's appropriate, and they hit on that button, and now they get all of the results that you would expect to find using that filter. So all the complexity is gone from the end user, which is great. So not just content with that, we felt that the advanced search filter gave most people what they need, but we decided to go one step further and take things up another level. And we introduced what we call the expert search filters. Now, the expert search filter actually exposes the Aproove query language directly into the browser and allows your users to actually build very complex or straightforward, however you use it, search filters that, again, can be shared with the user base. The reason we went for this deeper level is because we do have some very sort of specific customers that really need that granularity, because they really do have a lot of custom metadata that they want to incorporate into their search functionality and so on and so forth. So by giving them access to this tool, they can pretty much build whatever they want and share that as a search filter across anyone in the business. So without further ado, I'll pass it back to you, Zav, and you can show everyone the advanced and expert search filters.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So thank you, Gary. Just taking back to my dashboard and showing you these. Like Gary said, so the setup of advanced filter is going through this menu where you can see the advanced filter menu showing up. Like Gary said, again, this menu can be hidden, and by default, it is hidden to be accurate, and needs to be activated for some advanced user which can use this kind of feature. Going into this, I've prepared a bunch of filters to show you quickly how it works. It's not that complex, but the expert mode can become complex at some point. So here, for example, my first filter here, just to show you how it works, I create a simple condition where I'm looking for all projects with which contain YSL in the name. So pretty easy to build. You see, this is really the way to build the standard advanced filters. It means that it's just click based. You don't need to know any language. You just add condition. It's really versus queries to write like you will have in the expert mode. I will show you in a minute. So from there, you can type and add as many conditions as you want. You can decide whether you need all the conditions to be met or any of those conditions. This is already not bad. We built this as I would say as a V1 of the advanced search filter, but we've seen pretty quickly that this has limitation for our very advanced customer. So once you've done your query, you've done your criteria, you can always preview results very quick to see if at least it matches something in your system, which is also a good verification. Just so you know, you cannot leave this window if it contains any error or mistake, which is in this case it's not possible, but in the expert mode you can easily have some mistakes inside the query language, so to avoid saving wrong mistakes. From there, once it's saved, you can have multiple kind of them, of course, like the expert one as well. Once it's saved, I will show you in a second how to share those with the others. But let's open maybe an expert one before. If I go in the expert mode, you see in this one, like Gary showed in the shortly in the video, you can really stack many conditions, many criteria. It's kind of limitless at this point. It's really depending on what you want to achieve. You can use standard approved fields, which are predefined fields. This list of fields will grow along the road with the customer request, with feature requests. We will enhance that list by adding new fields as much as we can for improving the power of the tool. But currently, if you are already working with your own data, if you have your own metadata keys, it's up to you to use all your metadata keys as well within those advanced expert queries. It means that if you have a lot of keys that have been added, a lot of fields, custom fields, they are already available for you in those queries. Same for the tags, because the tags here in my system, I have a lot of tags could be used in the queries. Tags at node level, tags at project level, at section level or proof level can be used for making the queries. And as a reminder, you have the list of all the operators that are currently supported. The same as the field. We will enhance this list also go down the road for making it even better. The thing also for the geek about security, as you notice, this is not SQL language. This is really the AQL, the approved query language. So this is 100% free of SQL injection and thing like this. This has been designed for being very secure, impossible for a hacker to go through this and break this by inserting some kind of virus code and so on, which is usually the weakness of such query language, because that's very easy to insert some advanced code that can break the database. Here, we put a massive effort to completely avoid this, which is also a big challenge. But just for those who may have a question, this is highly secure and SQL injection free. So from there, like I said, you can preview, save the result of this query. And once these queries are made, where can I find them? I can find them simply in my project window, where they will show up as shortcuts here, you see, but also much more interesting for most of the user, they will show up here in the filter list as specific filters made for enhancing your dashboard experience or the one of your colleagues, because you can share those one. So how can I share one of these? Simply, I can select one here. It applied the filters already. It shows me that one project is matching this query, or the YSL. I may have more. Yeah, more projects showing up here. And once it's selected, I can click the share button here. And from there, I can add, currently it has been made by me. I'm the admin on that filter, but I can also say, okay, I want Sylvain, Gary, and Jeff, and why not a group, maybe the marketing team. The marketing team, yeah, as a group to use this filter. And you see now, I have all these guys now that are able to use my filter. Right now, they can only use it because they're only read-only. This is the only privilege they have. But I can say, for example, that Sylvain will be my backup on administrating things on this filter. And I say Sylvain can admin it. It means that Sylvain can do as much as me, which I'm the creator, but he can do as much as me. So meaning modifying the filter, because if I'm modifying this filter will be modified for everyone I share it to. We have sub-rights, an intermediate right, which is the allow sharing. For Gary, for example, it means that Gary will have a copy of my filter, but will be able to tweak it and share it. But it will be his copy, not mine. He will not be able to administrate mine. It will never modify mine. So you see, in a couple of clicks, I'm able to share those filters very easily to a big amount of people in a very transparent way. So what will happen to these guys? I share it too. Simply, they can go in the little settings icon here, and those filters will show up like this as invisible. They will not be checked like this. They will be like this, not visible right now in their list. It will be up to them to tick it visible, to make it visible in their list and in their drop-down menu for the filter. So for using them, pretty easy. So just select them. Just so you know, on top of the filter, you can still make a search, which will search within the result of this advanced filter, which is also nice because this may help you to build your own uh, setup for the screen, the screen here for the My Project screen to display really custom information group, which are completely different than the initial one. I mean, completely outside the folder structure that has been initially created, because this list of project is not stored as it within the structure. It's the result of a query. I think I'm done with the filters, Gary. Or you want me to show the column here? Was it part of this?
No, I think we're good, Zav. We'll get onto that next. So I'll just grab
Okay.
the screen back, and
Okay.
we'll move on to the next topic. Bear with me just a second, and let me put my keynote back on. Hopefully you can see my screen again. Okay, so Zav, just give us a live demo of those advanced and expert search filters. Hopefully you can see the benefit and the power of those. This isn't such a huge enhancement, but I just do want to quickly show them because they are highly visible to the users and definitely very useful for everyone using Aproove. So we added 3 nice new functions inside the review interface. The first one allows users to determine how quickly they want to zoom in and out of files. They can set the zoom speed that they are comfortable with. The second feature was that we added a fit to page button that allows you to fit the entire proof into your display window automatically. That's really useful if you've sort of zoomed in very deep and you want to just come back to the 1-to-1 ratio again. We also enhanced the color picker tool so that it now pastes the color information directly into an annotation note. And a couple of things that we did with the dashboard. We made some new columns in the dashboard interface, including one that gives you an option to wrap your project file name in case the file name does not fit in the column view and you don't really want to expand that window. Zav will show you that in a moment. We also added some new columns that allow you to get a quick summary of any tasks in progress, pending, answered, or done. And last but not least, we also added a dedicated column that contains the approved project ID. The approved project ID is very useful if ever you need to raise a support ticket. By giving us that approved project ID, it enables our support team to quickly identify that project and get straight into it. Second layer to that, actually, a lot of our customers refer to their projects with their colleagues by the project ID rather than the project name, because it might be very long. So by having its own dedicated column, that makes that a little bit easier. So Zav will show you that. We should note, though, that these minor enhancements that are being added now to the review interface and dashboard are just minor things, but we are planning a new interface, which is going to be coming out in the coming months. And when that's released, it will have a lot of new and refreshed, improved user experience in the whole of the user interface. We'll talk about that in a moment. So for now, I'll pass you back to Zav and he can quickly show you those new tools, and then we'll finish up the webinar.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, not that much to show. You almost showed everything already, but anyway, let's show it live. So from there, yeah, like you said, Gary, the new settings for managing the zoom level. You know, by default, for zooming in, zooming out, you use the mouse wheel, and it can be a bit fast and too fast for some users. We've seen that especially on PC, where the mouse wheel is replaced sometime by the 2 fingers on a notepad and on the pad, and the pad can be much faster than the mouse wheel. And so for these user, we just added a preference where they can tweak the speed of the mouse wheel. If I'm taking it very slow, for example, you see I'm spinning the wheel here literally, but you see it's not zooming fast. People may appreciate that. And the other way around, of course, if I'm putting fast at the top speed, it will, for me, almost impossible to use. You see, it's zooming so quick. So that's the one thing for the experience. Let me put it back. As a reminder, because not sure everybody knows it, but you can also decide whether the mouse wheel will zoom or scroll simply, because depending on the nature of the document you are reviewing, if it's especially on text document, the mouse wheel set on scroll might be better for those people that are reviewing text document, which will just behave a bit more like Acrobat would do, or Word, or Microsoft Word. So just as a reminder, it's not new, it's something we implemented maybe more than a year ago, but I've noticed that not everybody knows about that feature. It's an easy one, it's a user-based, you can tweak it, as well as the zoom speed. Okay, so out of that, if you zoom and you are on a tiny detail, for example, like this, you can use the O-glass here, not the O-glass, the lens icon, which was there already, but was not active. Now, when you click on it, it just revert back to a full view, which make it very easy for people to get back to a fit view wherever they are. Because Aproove stores the zoom level when you move from page to page, and it was sometimes annoying for people to keep that zoom. For other people, it was crucial to keep that zoom, and so we had complaints from both sides. If we were not storing the zoom level, we had complained, and because we stored the zoom level, some other people were complaining. So here we hope we reach a very good compromise where setting the zoom is a harder thing than just resetting it. So resetting, a single click, done. You get back to the default zoom level. Now, using the color picker. So the color picker has been there for years, but now we've created a shortcut, like Gary showed it, where you can really check the colors. You see, you have Pantone here, and a click now on the color picker, just make a round note and pull the value in the note. You don't need to store them or copy them or whatever. They are immediately in the note. Up to you to tweak the note content by changing or appending some text there. You can add some text here. And that's it. That would be a note with all the values located exactly there. Now back to the dashboard. Like Gary explained, we have added a bunch of new columns. So maybe let me search for. Oops. A specific project. You see, this project has a very long name. It is a bit too long to be displayed, and it is, by the way, it is not wrapped here. It's simply shortened, which was annoying for many of our advanced customers, which are naming the project with very long names. So for this, we have now, like Gary explained, a new column called name wrap, project name wrap. If I just display it, you see how it looks. You see the full name. That way, there is no more issue having very long names. If it needs 4 lines to be displayed, we'll use 4 lines to be displayed. This is the way it is. And you can, of course, hide the classical project name and replace it this way. We have added also new column indicator, like the project ID as a separate column, which is not a big deal, but interesting also because some people are doing some sorting using this, and having the project ID shown in a separate column than the usual project name is also beneficial for sorting and doing searches. On top of that, we can ask, or you can add also some new indicators like the task pending, progress, answer, and done. So task pending is really what it says, the tasks that are expecting people to start the job on. In progress, the ongoing task. Answered, the one where there was a decision, and the done, with the one that are definitely finished. And you see those indicators directly in the project list here, which give you an idea of what is there. Because before that, we had just this indicator by having 5 tasks which are on time, 1 done, but not knowing so much the content of these 5 on-time tasks. Green mean on time. Here, you know now that 4 are pending, 1 has been started, which is a much more interesting indicator depending on your use case. But we found this to be very interesting. It's much more than this indicator. For me, it's a complement of this indicator that we've had it here. I think that's it. Did I miss something, Gary? I don't think so.
No, that's perfect. Thanks, Zef. I'll take the screen back and move to the next and wrap this up. Okay, so let me just share my screen again. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen again. So just to wrap up the webinar, we wanted just to do a dedicated slide just to talk about what we're working on in 2022. This is at a very high level. We're not going into sort of granular detail. But as mentioned, we will be launching a new redesigned interface in the coming months. You can see a snapshot of that interface on the left-hand side here in this keynote slide. The new interface is not only being launched because we need to refresh the interface. We're definitely doing it for that reason, but we also needed to cater for many new features and functions that we're going to be adding during the course of 2022. The new interface is going to allow us to add many more work management type features, such as resource planning, out of office, and project management that allows you to have in-task collaboration capabilities. Aproove has a very, very powerful proofing engine, and that's kind of where we started as a business. But now for us, the proofing engine is almost a part of a bigger product. So being able to do tasks that are not related to proofing is totally 100% feasible inside Aproove now. Another interesting thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching what we call a file storage connector. And that's going to allow you to connect your data, be it on your internal servers or in cloud storage such as AWS, Azure, Box, and others. That storage can be seen and managed in the Aproove interface, and that's going to give you both a task and management layer and also a permission layer directly sitting on top of your storage. The long-term plan for that is to allow you to connect as many storage locations as you like into Aproove. We'll display that in our asset browser, and the end users can work and collaborate on those files without ever needing to know where those files are located. So, for example, you could have storage in New York, London, and Madrid all showing up in the Aproove interface, and I could be logging in from Berlin and working on those assets, obviously with the correct permissions. And on top of that, as mentioned, we will also be expanding our Adobe plugins, and those plugins are also going to be able to reference any of that storage that you may connect to Aproove. And at that point, I might be able to drag and drop files from InDesign or Photoshop from file storage that's in New York and in London into my documents. So it's going to be a really exciting and powerful enhancement to the product. And we're quite excited about 2022 because we think that this is going to bring Aproove up to a whole new level during the course of this year. Okay, so with that, I think that just leaves us to say thank you for attending. We really appreciate that you took some time out of your day to